Hello, everyone, and welcome to Technology Tuesday. I wish you a good afternoon or evening, or morning, I should say, depending on where you're joining us from today. My name is Jennifer, and I am here on the East Coast out in Metro Detroit, Michigan. I will be your moderator today for today's session on data migrations presented by Out of the Box Technology. A little about out-of-the-box technology. If you have never joined us before, or maybe it's been a little while since you've been with us, we are anything and everything QuickBooks. We have a whole team of experts that work on all versions of QuickBooks, both desktop and line, and the automation products that sync with it. We work on data services, surprise, surprise, given our conversation today on migrations. Other business services, and we offer training, integration, support, and more surrounding all of that. So thank you for joining us today. I have my esteemed colleague Diego on the line with us. He's a senior director of our business development department, and he works very closely day in and day out with our data services team. So he is who we want on the line when it comes to this topic. So Diego, I will give you the floor for a moment and let you introduce yourself, give the audience a little bit of your background, and then we will jump right in.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jennifer. Good morning, everyone. It is a snowy morning here in Reno, Nevada. As Jennifer said, my name is Diego Villagrana, and I'm a Senior Director of Business Development here at Out of the Box Technology. My expertise is in QuickBooks. I support both platforms, desktop and online, as well as the full Intuit QuickBooks ecosystem, which includes QuickBooks Payroll, QuickBooks Time Tracking, formerly known as T-Sheets, Intuit Merchant Services, cloud hosting, and many of the leading third-party integrations. A fun fact, you may have seen my face before, as I was once in the landing page for QuickBooks. It was a short-lived, and as a disclaimer, no royalties were collected. So anyways, that was pretty cool to be featured in the landing page of such a big company like Intuit.
That's super cool. Actually, I didn't even know that, Diego. So I'm going to put that little nugget aside for future. Thank you so much, Diego, for being here with us. Before we jump in, I would like to engage everyone on the line with us with our first poll. So I will go ahead and launch that just to kind of get an idea of where everyone is coming from today. When was the last time you upgraded your accounting software? So whether you're in QuickBooks or something else, when was the last time? Did you do it this year? Maybe the last couple years? It's been a long time, or maybe you don't know. Maybe you just came in and you're working on the software, but you're not sure where it came from. So it looks like we've got almost everyone has chimed in here, and 44%, Diego, said they have upgraded this year. So that's really exciting to hear. But that means the other half, it's been over a year. So we are definitely talking to all of you. And about a quarter, it's been more than 3 years. So it could be just about time. So I'm going to go ahead and close that poll and let you jump right into it, Diego. We're going to talk about data migrations.
All right, sounds good. Well, welcome to Technology Tuesday. Let's talk data migrations. So what is an accounting data migration? An accounting data migration is taking data from one source and moving it to a different source. While that may sound simple, financial data is one of the most important and complex components of any business. This process typically requires rigorous project planning, project management, accuracy, and timeliness. Why would I need a data migration? Great question. Assuming some folks on this webinar are using QuickBooks, here are some common scenarios and call drivers that we see on a daily basis. My software is outdated. Many versions of QuickBooks have been discontinued throughout the years. This means there's no support or security updates available to protect your financial data. This can compromise your data, and depending on when you last did an update, there is a very specific order of operations that need to be followed to ensure that data gets transferred correctly if you plan on upgrading or converting to a different platform. Data limits. All versions of QuickBooks have unique data limits and specifications. Exceeding those limits is a common scenario. It's common that we see many clients outgrow their accounting systems and require a data migration to scale their growing business. Some examples of that may be large data files that exceed recommended specifications, list limits that are or close to capacity or have exceeded capacity, or more commonly, an aged file that needs a fresh start. Waiting too long in this scenario typically gets us to my least favorite one, which is data integrity and performance issues. Here, it's pretty obvious when you're in this state. Some common themes are performance issues, errors, balance sheets out of balance, and constant crashes. The accounting system becomes a burden with a mind of its own, impacting your daily operations. So as a quick tip, and some of you may know this, but if you hit F2 from your QuickBooks home screen, this will populate a window that has your specific QuickBooks data file information. So it has a lot of useful information such as your file size, total targets, list information, last updates, and many more useful data points that can help you determine when it may be a right time to consult with an expert. Another common scenario is functionality and scalability. It's common that businesses' needs have changed and evolved throughout time, and your accounting needs may have also changed from when you first implemented or started using QuickBooks. With that in mind, this can be and mean many different things depending on your industry. So an example may be you are now growing and need to implement industry-specific features such as job costing, certified payroll, inventory management, inventory in multiple locations, build assembly lines, or you're implementing robust pricing rules. Or it could also be as simple as just going to a cloud-based platform for accessibility and technology such as QuickBooks Online. As we all know, QuickBooks Online has been rapidly growing in functionality and features over the last year, so we're all really excited to see where this product heads to in the next few years. With that in mind, there are some accounting workflows that are suited better for the different platforms that are available. The desktop has a very unique customer profile, so it's common that we see customers go from online to desktop, or vice versa. Clients go from the desktop platform and are migrating to a more user-friendly and accessible platform such as QuickBooks Online. Some additional scenarios that we also see are merging multiple data files into one, acquisitions, inventory issues such as negative inventory, and that's a whole webinar of its own. Setup issues such as you could have set up your file incorrectly when you started and problems have been compounding. So you're now seeing that your accounting workflow is not ideal for your current business needs. Or you might be going from non-inventory to inventory, or commonly your business model has changed and your current setup is not right any longer. So it's in the scenario that you're coming from a different accounting system and you're looking to migrate to QuickBooks, there are some common call drivers that we see, such as a theme with industry-specific accounting systems or lesser-known homegrown applications is the loss of support and investment in updates and features. So what you're left with is a stale software that is unsupported. So often customers refer to these as DAS, or also known as a dinosaur accounting system. So what that means is that they are shopping around looking for a software that will meet their needs. So QuickBooks is universally known for its user-friendly accounting, ongoing updates, and endless integrations, making it the go-to system for price and value. Another common scenario is my accounting system is not meeting my needs. So as we covered, it's common that your business needs most likely changed and you are now exploring a different option. So in the data migration space, automation is key. With the QuickBooks ecosystem, many key components of accounting are automated, such as invoicing, payroll, time tracking, merchant services are all seamlessly integrated with QuickBooks. So this reduces your data entry and automates most accounting processes, reducing the error margin and giving you more time to focus on your business. And lastly, we have to. So there are many industry-specific integrations that require or recommend QuickBooks as the accounting system of their choice. With more than 300 applications in the QuickBooks App Center, ranging from sales tax applications such as Avalara to industry-specific front-end applications like Service Titan or e-commerce platforms such as Webgility or Shopify, QuickBooks is becoming the standard accounting application for many partners.
Thank you, Diego. So I'm going to just pause here, and we're going to do another polling question. Seeing if the audience, do you feel you're using QuickBooks or insert current accounting software here to its fullest capacity? You know, Diego talked about some of these reasons you would do a data migration, and it's that your current software maybe isn't meeting your needs. So have you outgrown what you're in? Maybe there's more to the software that you could be using. So I'm just going to launch this poll here. Maybe yes, I'm using it to the fullest capacity, I'm good. Or possibly, maybe you're not sure, there could be some things in there, or you're just not sure how to solve that. Or maybe your yes is that you are using it to its full capacity, but it's still not meeting your needs. So that's where that data migration, this project, comes in for you. And Diego, it's looking like about a third of our viewers today are not sure. They're not sure how to solve it. They don't think they're using it to the fullest capacity. So I think that's where a conversation can evolve with us. And I know you're going to go over some things in your next few slides about our process and how we work with our clients. And whether it's a health check, whether it's a data migration, that's where out-of-the-box technology really comes in. So thank you all for participating in that poll. And Diego, I will give it back to you.
All right. Well, that's a perfect segue into how we come in and how we help our customers. So if any of these scenarios we covered apply to you, then there's a possibility that you're thinking, what do I do now? Well, you're at the right place. We have a dedicated department specializing in data migrations with over 50 years of collective QuickBooks experience. Year to date, we've done over 5,000 migrations, which is astonishing. And I'm really proud to be a part of a team that can deliver such a milestone like that. We're also a trusted Intuit partner, which is why we have the prestigious Elite Solution Provider badge that you see. And with that in mind, we have a very specific approach to these projects. We have a customer-centric approach called the Saucebox Approach. What is the Saucebox Approach? Well, great question. The Saucebox Approach is broken down in 5 stages: discover, synthesize, solve, review, and revisit. If you are a visual person like me, this flow chart shows you the process and sequence. So it all starts with a complimentary data service consultation. That's right, free of charge. Each data migration is unique. In this consult, we learn about your business, your accounting workflow and processes, goals for your migrations, must-have data, timeline, and any sensitive dates, such as software that you're currently on may be sunsetting at a specific date. Maybe it's an acquisition happening at a specific date, or it's the implementation of a third-party application on a specific date. We work with you to ensure that we understand the complexity of your project, and this will allow us to make initial recommendations relating to what product will best suit your needs and what type of migration you will need based on some of the topics that we covered. So in this stage, it's also common that we do demos that are specific to your workflow, as we want to ensure that the QuickBooks that you're migrating to suffices your needs and gives you the ability to scale as you grow. So once we do the discover phase, we move into the synthesize phase. So here we do an assessment. So an assessment is an evaluation of your current data, where we evaluate the quality, quantity, and integrity of your current data, where there are many variables such as payroll, inventory, and we cover the different types of migrations that we have, from list and balances to full detail. So assessing your data is crucial for us in outlining what options are available and the complexity of your project. So once we have received your data file, we've evaluated it, then we go into the project planning phase. So here, once your data has been evaluated, our team will create a project plan with all the available options for your migration. So whether you're opting for an efficient migration or a full migration, the project plan includes a detailed scope of work of the data being migrated, the timeline of your project, responsibilities, and milestones, which is very important to have alignment in all of those. So once we have alignment on the desired plan, we move into the execution of your project. So here, this is where we start working on your project based on your timeline. So we stay in active communication on the progress and status of your migration, and just working cohesively to ensure a smooth delivery for the project delivery. So here, it's go live time. So you would receive your new data file. It's ready for use. It's been vetted. It's been QA'd. We ensure that you have all the data that's stated in the scope of work. And more importantly, we ensure that you have all the resources you need to feel confident and supported in your new file. So from here, the revisit stage is another crucial piece of the project. So we understand that there may be a learning curve, especially if you're coming from an outside accounting system. So we have some of the best QuickBooks consultants and certified pro advisors in our roster. So that allows us to offer you industry-specific training or basic training, such as accounting principles, payroll, custom reporting, user permission roles, workflow recommendations, or more robust training, such as job costing, certified payroll, inventory management, as well as recommendations for any third-party applications that may enhance your workflow and automate some processes. So you've gone through this whole process and you want to protect your investment. So for many of our clients, we have what we call QuickBooks Health Checks, which is a data review that consists of an evaluation of the integrity of your data file. So this helps identify any potential issues ahead of time and ensure you don't end up where you started. So we are end-to-end, so from implementation to ongoing support, regardless of what your project and how complex it is. We have a team that can assist in each step of the way. So we're here for whatever you need. So with that in mind, our goal for your data migration is customer experience is at top of our process. We want to ensure you feel confident and supported during and after your project. That's what we strive for. Expertise, data migrations are complex, so our team is here to make this process as seamless and efficient as possible. And value. There's a reason why we've delivered over 3,000 migrations successfully, and the reason is we are passionate for what we do. We stand behind our work, and we always look forward for the opportunity to earn your trust and your business.
Thank you, Diego. And with that, I feel like I should engage our audience just once more time. So is it time for a data conversion? Diego went through a whole laundry list of reasons why it might be, and maybe one of those struck a chord with you. So I would love just to hear from the audience. Is it time? Maybe you'd like to get some more information. You want one of those consultations that Diego mentioned. You want to talk with an expert one-on-one, take a look and see. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But it never hurts to ask those questions and take a look. Or maybe you saw those tick marks and you checked every single one of those boxes and you are ready to sign up. So let us know how you're feeling. In just a minute, we're going to open it up for questions to the audience. So if something's weighing on your mind, definitely send over your questions in the chat. We will answer those for you, whether it's about data migrations in general, some of the triggers that Diego mentioned, whether it's your file keeps crashing or you're not sure what's too big of a file size or too long of a list, or our Saucebox approach. We'd love to hear from you. But thank you everyone for engaging in our polls today. It looks like there is a good number who are looking for a consultation. They think that they're ready for one, so I love to see that. And with that, as I mentioned, we're going to open it up for questions. I know there have already been some that are coming through, so Diego, get ready.
All right,
I'm ready. The first question we have is, this seems like a lot. How long will it take?
Yeah, great question. So while it seems like a long, the planning phase is definitely important. The actual execution of a project, depending on the type of migration, whether it's going from QuickBooks to QuickBooks or from QuickBooks platform to another QuickBooks platform, some of those can take several hours. If it's an external migration, such as coming from a third party into QuickBooks, those can take several days to a few weeks. So it just really depends on your unique data that you have and the different variables such as payroll, inventory, and the type of migration that you're seeking, whether it's a list and balances or a full detail. All that plays a factor into how much time it would take to convert your data.
Excellent, thank you so much. Our next question, I'm going to combine a couple into one, is there's different types of things you can enter or import into QuickBooks. Do these include employee lists or journal entries? Can they be imported into QuickBooks? I'm guessing from another software.
Yeah, great question. So the answer is yes. Most lists, regardless if it's QuickBooks to QuickBooks or external to QuickBooks, are typically imported. So here we strategize based on several things, as this is typically a great time to clean the data so that you bring in relevant information to have an efficient file. So anyways, yes, the answer is both of those can be imported into QuickBooks.
Great, thank you. Okay, our next question is, can you confirm if they, meaning Intuit, are getting rid of QuickBooks UK Desktop? And if so, can you migrate data from UK Desktop to the US version?
That is a great question. I do not know if they are discontinuing QuickBooks UK, but I can definitely check. We have resources internally with Intuit, so I can definitely get an answer on that. As far as importing other currencies into QuickBooks, we can do that. It's a little bit more complex, but there have been scenarios in which we have done those before. So I don't want to say for certainty that it can be done, but definitely worth a consultation to see what we can do, as we typically do migrations from Canada to QuickBooks, vice versa. With the multi-currency mode, it's becoming more of a common scenario. So yeah, definitely worth a consultation to see what we can do.
Fantastic, thank you. Here's a loaded question. How difficult is the desktop migration to online?
Yeah, great question. Well, the answer is it depends. So typically those migrations, I'd say on the spectrum of difficulty, tend to be On the lower end of the spectrum, there are different tools and proprietary methods that we use to make it efficient. So while not all data transfers over, much of it does. So those migrations are what we call, how do I say this? They're not easy, but they're definitely more enjoyable to work with. So yes, we can definitely convert it, and on the scale, on the different types of migrations that we've done, I definitely place it on the more on the lesser side of the complexity scale.
Great, thank you. So I probably teed this up for a couple of people to ask, but we talked about file size being too large. What is too large of a file size, do you think, Diego, for QuickBooks Enterprise is specifically being asked by this audience member?
Yeah, that varies. I've worked with many data files. Some are large, but what really depends is the integrity of the data, meaning the maintenance and how the data has been kept, like running constant verify and rebuilds, having good processes in place, such as logging out of QuickBooks every night. So all these things compound. So I've seen some large data files that work fine, and I've seen some other data files that aren't typically on the scale of being too big, but that don't perform or work. So it really, I think, is in the maintenance of the data. That's the key factor. The specs that we have, and we can probably put the link, are available for the ideal file size and different capacities. So anyways, I think that's probably worth sharing with the audience, because that goes into detail as into the different specs. There's different versions and different years have different specifications. So it's really hard to say what's a good healthy file versus what's not. It really depends on that F2 screen. So we do complimentary consultations, so we're more than happy to look over that screen and kind of go over the good, the bad, the ugly, and give you our recommendation for maintaining your file, or when it would be a good time to start thinking of possibly creating a new file.
Excellent. So a couple audience members are just asking about what platforms do we typically see clients? You mentioned we've done over 5,000. Of course, there's QuickBooks to QuickBooks, whether it's online to desktop or vice versa, but what other platforms do we see people coming from? One specifically asked about is Blackbaud Merchant Services to QuickBooks, or are there others that we typically see? Just kind of gauging our footprint, I suppose.
Yeah, that's a great question. We primarily see a lot of conversions, so a lot of clients moving from the desktop platform to the online. And we also see vice versa, a lot of online customers outgrowing QuickBooks Online or need industry-specific features such as job costing or inventory management. So anyway, so we see that quite often. As far as third parties, we do migrations from Sage 50, Sage Intacct, Sage 100, Foundation, Computeries. We do FreshBooks. We've done some other ERP migrations. So companies coming from Acumatica or NetSuite into QuickBooks, because as we covered, the value of QuickBooks and the price point typically is very enticing for a lot of companies to come to QuickBooks. So yeah, so we've seen it all. The key thing in the migrations is how data is exported out of their current accounting system. So whether that's through Excel or the different formats dictate the complexity. So typically, if it can be exported to Excel, then that's a great start. Not all accounting systems have that, so those are a little bit more complex, and that's where we go into the assessment phase so that we can see how that, whatever export methods are available, how that interacts with our tools that translate that data when they're being inputted into creating your company file. So regardless of what accounting system you use, I think the question here is how it exports, and based off that is how we determine the complexity of the project.
Great, thank you. Is there a good time of the year for me to do my data migration? Would this be based off a new calendar year, new fiscal year, or something else?
Yes, great question. So there is an ideal time to do a data migration. I would say the beginning of the month is typically a better time versus the middle or end of the month. And there are several reasons for that. So I'd say obviously the beginning of the year is the most ideal time for data migrations, and typically right now is our peak season where we get a lot of interest from different clients wanting to move to a different accounting system, or a lot of times they're just working through their acquisitions in the first of the month. So it's just really important to have a beginning and end to when they do the migration. So it's really easy to go back and see when the data migration occurred versus trying to identify it. So just for bookkeeping purposes, the beginning of a month, the beginning of a quarter, or the beginning of the year are the ideal times for a data migration.
Great. Okay, our next question is, and this might go back to a step that you had mentioned in our Saucebox approach, but will out of the box verify and review that the data has been imported correctly, or is that the responsibility of the client?
That is definitely a responsibility of our team. So we stand behind our work. So during the project planning, there's a very descriptive project plan that covers what data will be migrated. So once or before we deliver the file, we ensure that what's in the project plan is what you're getting. Now there are some scenarios in which we don't know what we don't know, so it's always important to have that line of communication with our clients, as there are going to be scenarios in which you run and maybe things don't make sense, or you might see them in a different place. So that's common and it happens. But that's what sets us apart, is we ensure that regardless of the outcome, you have support for whatever scenario you run into, that you have a person to go to with any questions, and just ensuring that the data makes sense and that it matches your books and the outcome that we aligned on. So yes, we absolutely double check, and like I mentioned, there are things that always happen that are standard, and that we have a contingency plan for. So that's why the delivery of the project is super important. So we set aside a time to deliver your file and work with you as we go through the implementation of the new data file.
Wonderful. Okay, we have one more question, and then we will wrap up our time here today. Can we start using QuickBooks Desktop as of January 1, 2023, like coming up on the new year, to book our activity in real time and then backfill the history later?
Okay, that's a good question. I think I'm going to parking lot this one, because that does have some that does need, I think, one of our consultants to kind of go over the the accounting repercussions of doing that. I'd say that's not ideal, but we have worked with scenarios like that. So where we create two files, so there's a go live file that's being created, but then there's also a separate file in which transactions are being recorded. So anyways, it's common because there are some scenarios in which there's different go live dates. So you might be going live with a front end application at a different time than QuickBooks, so that can create some unique kind of scenarios that we would have to run through to go over the pros and cons of doing it. Hasn't been done before, yes. Is it ideal? Probably not. So I think this is more of a one-off situation where we would, have to kind of analyze the project to make a recommendation.
Of course, thank you so much. Well, I stumped you on one, so. But these were all really excellent questions. I
Great
loved
questions.
all the engagement from the audience. So thank you all so much for bringing these to us. We hope that the information presented today was helpful. Again, maybe it kind of struck a chord with some of you. Maybe as the next week or so goes on, some of these things that you'd maybe been just putting up with, you're realizing, oh, that's what Diego was talking about last week on that webinar. So we are always here for you just to answer your questions. You can give us a call, send us an email, live chat on our website. We would love to kind of get that conversation going. Even if today is not the day for the data migration, as we're just talking and kind of getting to know you and your business, it could be down the road, and we want to support you with that. So thank you so much, Diego. Thank you everyone for your questions. I wanted to invite everyone on the line today for our next two webinars as we continue in our getting ready for year-end kind of webinar series. Next week, we will have Avalara, a partner that Diego mentioned. They will be joining us to talk about making 2023 your best tax year yet, a lot of sales tax automation conversations. The information they have to present is extremely interesting. I find it very valuable. I hope and I think that you will all as well. So we'd love you to join us. And then after the Thanksgiving holiday, we will be talking about the year-end checklist that you need. So hope you can join us. Everyone will get a link to sign up for those. You can also view them on demand on our website after the live presentation. This session was also being recorded, so you'll receive a link to that so you can watch back, revisit any of those items that we've gone over. But again, thank you all so much for joining us. Here's our contact information for you to reach out anytime. We're here for your QuickBooks needs. Diego, thank you for your time and presenting and preparing.
Absolutely, thank you.
And yeah, the expertise that you bring. So thank you all. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll see you again soon.